All right. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. The date is September 15th, 2020, and this is episode 97 of the Unsecurity Podcast. I'm your host, Evan Francine, and back with me this week is my good friend Brad Nye. Good morning, Brad.
Good morning, Evan.
You're back. How
I
you
am.
feeling?
Oh, much better. Just a little migraine last week. It happens. Allergies,
That's-
triggers. So,
yeah. And so, what was I going to say about that? Did you hear last week's podcast
you know
at
what?
all?
No, I didn't. I'm gonna listen to it though. I have to mow the yard, so I'll listen to it while I mow the yard.
There you go. Yeah, it was awkward, man. It's awkward because I think in 96 podcasts, it's the first one I've done, which is a miracle, really, when you think about it. It's the first one
Yeah.
I've done by myself. Uh, and then afterwards, Ryan Cloutier was like, well, dude, you could have called. And I was like, well, a little late now. I mean, it's already out there.
Well,
Yeah,
appreciate you
it is what
covering
it
for
is.
me. Of
Oh, always, man. You know that. You do the same for me.
course.
Um, all right. So regular listeners to our show know that Brad and I normally start off with catching up with each other. It's sort of what we're doing now. Uh, let's talk about work stuff. What you've been working on. It's been a while since you and I have talked.
Yeah.
I mean, we work
No,
at the same company.
I know, but everybody being remote, you just don't see each other as much. Um,
Yeah.
no, I've been working on the IR maturity assessment. It's been pretty much my focus the last couple of weeks.
Okay. And how's that going?
I think it's going really well. We have a meeting this afternoon. Well, I'll find out what you think.
Well, yeah, I'm invited to that meeting.
Yeah, yeah, we're just going to go through that assessment. It's like
Okay.
330-ish questions all around
Okay.
incident response maturity for companies.
Okay.
So
Good.
a lot more
Yeah.
in-depth than we
I,
go doing the S2 assessment.
yeah. I was talking to Oscar yesterday. I think we were both in the sales meeting. I was explaining to the sales folks about Cowbell, Cowbell Cyber. That's an integration with Security Studio and just the AI stuff they're doing with, you know, uh, cyber insurance underwriting, which is really cool. Uh, Salespeople had caught wind of it and didn't know really what it was. So I was in that meeting, and then Oscar was also in that meeting talking about the IR stuff. So that's cool.
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna be yeah, it's fun. I like doing it. So yeah, the next piece I think the questions are pretty solid. It's got
Hmm.
a fairly good flow. There's obviously going to be some editing and you know cleaning up. It's still a first draft, maybe second draft, but doing the math and figuring all that out is kind of the next step, and that'll be fun to do.
Cool, man. Uh, yeah. So what, man? Time is when you're in this industry. I mean, you know it too. Uh, we're so busy, all the time. It seems like you're going in about 1,000 different directions.
Hmm.
Uh, Security shit show last week was the title was "Hands Up, Give Me All Your Money," and we talked about ransomware. And one of the things that was frustrating in that discussion was, we preach the same things we've been preaching. I mean, I've been in this for damn near 30 years,
Yeah.
and it's not new.
No.
Backing
No.
up your data, protecting your backups is not new.
Doing backups, having logs, like it's yeah.
Yeah. So it was a good conversation anyway with Chris Roberts and Ryan Cloutier. Uh, and you talk about it and then you wonder why isn't this stuff being done? And so the thing I could come up with was accountability. Nobody's being held accountable. Like executive management isn't holding IT accountable. If you have an IT service provider or a backup provider, you're not holding them accountable. Somewhere there's a breakdown in
Hmm.
accountability. And I understand that you can't possibly prevent all bad things from happening, but you should be able to restore your data in 90+% of the occurrences,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah.
So I wrote up a ransomware contract.
Yeah, I was looking at that. I like it.
Did I send it to you?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Good. I meant to. And I was like, but like I said, there's so much like squirrel stuff. I'm like, man, I don't know. I don't even remember what I did. Yeah. So that's a contract that I think, simple, right? I mean, there's
Yeah.
what, seven, eight thing there that
Yeah.
ask your IT director or, uh, outsourced IT provider to attest to these things. And then I even included like an exception. So if you can't attest to these seven things, just explain why you can't.
Yeah.
And then, so all executive management should just give that, hey, sign this contract. If there's hesitation in signing the contract, they should tell you something.
Yeah. Or heck, even IT should go to executive management.
There you go.
If you're doing it, why wouldn't you want sign off from executives that, hey, we've got your back, basically.
Right. Yeah. So that came out of the security shit show was, creating a ransomware contract, some way to enforce or at least solidify more of the accountability behind these things.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that flies. Yesterday, I also wrote, actually, it was yesterday, a new work from home security policy, which I haven't shared with you
Yeah.
yet. But it's specific. It sort of borrows some of the things from existing sort of teleworking, remote access policies, but then makes it specific to work at home. What physical requirements are there? What technological requirements are there? And what general sort of requirements are there?
Cool. That'll probably go well with the work from home checklist we put out on the website for COVID-19.
Yeah, exactly. And there's even a couple of two, I think, statements there that if you're using S2 Me and S2 Team, uh, they fit sort of perfectly there. You know what I mean? But you would remove those if you're not using those products. So that was that. I mean, what else have I been working? Oh crap! Discussion with CIS last week.
Very cool.
Uh, yeah, about integrating the top 20 a little tighter with phase 3 and 4 of the S2 org assessment. Um, and they're actually volunteering to help with that, which is really kind of cool.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, they're good neighbors, those CIS people. So if you don't know what CIS is, if listeners don't know what CIS is, it's Center for Internet Security. Been around for a while. So you've been working on the incident response stuff. Have you had any incidents, that you've had to work in the last couple of weeks?
Thankfully, not that I've had to work. We actually just had one come in yesterday, though. Uh, Ransomware that they were recovering
Oh,
from backup last
ransomware.
night. Shocking. It was the oh shoot, was it I can't think of the name of it. Lockbit,
All right.
or a variation of Lockbit. So
So another ransomware attack. It sounds like the IR team has a really sweet lab that they just finished building or
mhm.
rebuilding. That'll be nice.
Yeah.
I know that my son is. I haven't heard from him. I called him yesterday. He was in the middle of his OSCP.
Oh.
Uh, and so I called him. I'm like, hey, when you get it, because you got to take little breaks here and there when you're doing that exam. It's a 24
Oh yeah.
hour. And so, he called me yesterday afternoon. He's like, yeah, I got this one, 20 points, and I got this one. So I think I'm in a good spot. And I said, well, sounds like you're really close to getting your points and, getting this thing wrapped up. Then I said, call me, when you're done, right? Just a text or drop me a line. Well, he didn't call me. He didn't text me. So I don't know what that means. I hope it's okay.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about it, so
Yeah.
fingers crossed.
It's kind of cool when your own son is taking an OSCP.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those guys like on tech services and IR, they got what Eric got his was it in malware researcher and expert pen tester, GXPN, I think.
We should have those guys back on. Because who was it that took two tests in the same weekend?
Oh, Kyle. Yeah, Kyle took his.
Kyle.
He took the. Uh, is it GAT? It was an incident. One of the SANS
Yeah.
incident ones, and then he took the CHIE, the Certified Incident Handler.
Yeah. And get
Exploit
past both of
Researcher and
them.
Advanced Pen Tester, GXPN for Eric.
Okay. Yeah, Kyle passed both the exams in the same weekend.
Yeah, yeah, I did the SANS one on Friday, and then woke up Saturday and did the
I guess if you're gonna do it, get her
incident
done.
handler.
You know what I mean?
Well, if you think about it, it's fresh in your mind. You've been doing all that studying. It's
Yeah. Still.
similar to what I did with the CISSP and CISM. I did the CISSP in kind of September, and then 2 months later did the CISM. It's all fresh and
Cool.
just get it done. Makes sense.
Plus, Kyle's younger than us.
True.
I don't have that kind of stamina anymore. I have enough stamina to get out of bed, down the stairs, and then I take a rest on the couch.
Yeah. Yeah. So he did the GCFE, the Certified Forensic Examiner.
Cool. Very cool. And then tomorrow I've got a Wiser webinar. The title of the webinar is "What Do I Do with Nothing?" Yeah. So that'll be an interesting webinar. It's a panel, actually. It's 4 of us on the panel. But Wiser's good, man. Wiser, Gabriel, the guy who founded Wiser and runs that organization, is he knows what the hell he's doing. He's good, businessman, good security person. So that'll be fun. And then the Indiana InfraGard Members Alliance Conference, the second annual education sector event. I'll be speaking to that on Friday.
Very cool.
Yeah, I should figure out the topic. What do I want to speak about? I sort of like the ones where I sort of like and then sort of don't like the conferences or that you speak at where they want to know like what's your topic, and I need a copy of your slides 6 months in advance.
Right.
I mean, obviously I'm exaggerating, but
Usually it's like 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks, something like that.
Yeah, and that's being a squirrel guy, being an ADHD guy, it's like I'll change my mind like 18 times between now and the time of the conference.
Yeah. Well, and depending on how far out they want it, things change so fast that something you're like, oh, this is a good idea. 3 months later, you're like, well, that's completely different. Everything's changed.
Right. Yeah, and then you have those ones that don't ask you for a topic, or it's like, do you trust me that much, or is it that disorganized? But I think it's very well organized because it's InfraGard, so I think they just trust me. It's interesting. I don't know if I'm the guy you want to trust.
It'll be entertaining either way.
It will be entertaining. And the links to both of those things, if you're interested, are in the show notes. Any other things going on? How's family?
Good. School
Healthy?
started, so we'll see how long that they're able to stay in. Hopefully, for a while. It's good for the kids to, get out of the house and see friends and get some in-person instruction.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. One of the things Ryan left for Colorado. He went his 78 RV. Have you seen a picture of that thing?
No.
All right. So he fixed up it was his father-in-law. His father-in-law passed away, left them this 78 Chevy RV. And so he spent most of the summer fixing that thing up and then took it on the inaugural trip with me last weekend, the weekend before last. We went to Apple River, and then he decided, well, he's going to take this thing all the way to Colorado.
Wow.
We got from here to Mason City, Iowa, and the transmission went out.
Oh no.
Yeah. So he's stranded in Mason City, Iowa right now. I
Oh
told him I'll come pick him up. It's only like a couple hours away. I can
yeah,
come
that's not
get you,
that,
but he's like,
that far, but oh, that
he's gonna
stinks.
try to, yeah, he's gonna try to get it fixed up and continue his trip.
Does he? So he brought his family with him.
Yeah, him and his wife. They're empty nesters now. So him, Amy, and their dog,
Okay.
and they were heading out to Colorado. She's never seen the mountains, and we're gonna spy and see Chris Roberts because he lives out that way. And then, yeah, he made it to Mason City, Iowa.
Oh, that stinks.
I know, it does stink. So, but I've been in contact with him. It sounds like he's going to be all right. So, we have the choice of kind of any topic every week. We can kind of choose what we want to talk about. And you could go deep into any one of these things. We could talk about ransomware. If you want to hear ransomware, we talked about that for 2 hours last Thursday night on the Security Shit Show. So I wasn't really in the mood of going in deep about that kind of stuff, but I like some of the things on the podcast where we can kind of talk about things that are a little bit touchy.
Mm-hmm.
So I chose a topic, why can't we all just get along? And the point is, so much of what we do in our industry and information security reflects life outside of our industry and vice versa. And so as I was thinking about, also what our next series should be, because I think it's, I like series because it keeps us kind of focused on a topic for a while.
Yeah.
We're in the middle of an election cycle right now, and the mudslinging is in full gear. I can't remember a time, certainly since I've been alive. There may be, maybe if you talk to some old timers, they'll tell you of times when the country was this divided, but the country is so divided to me. So I figured we'd talk about it. We talk about how this divisiveness in our country spills over into information security and,
Yeah.
some of our experiences in dealing with that stuff. Does that sound good?
Yeah. Let's do it.
All right. And I think what we could lead into potentially as a series next week, or whatever, is let's talk about politics, information security. Next, talking about politics, myself included, but you can't run from it.
Yeah, there's lots of stories around, hacking and attempts for influencing and stuff like that. So I think that there is relevance there.
Yeah. Well, and it seems like so many people, like when you look online, when you talk to somebody in person, and then you see some of the things that people write online. If you have an opinion online, there's no like civil discourse. It's like, it seems like people are so quick to attack each other.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's that anonymity. Right? They feel like you can get away with more.
Yeah. The intimidation and the bullying that you see online is really, frustrating. There are certain things that I won't share online because, one, my profile is fairly public, right? I use my name for, on Twitter.
Yeah.
I don't, try to hide behind something. So I don't want to say something too controversial, and especially nowadays have a bunch of people show up at my doorstep with pitchforks and, shotguns.
Yeah.
Because that's the kind of world we live in right now. My neighbor across the street has a Biden Harris sign in his yard, and I'm not even going to share so much with my political, who I'm going to vote for or anything, but that's dangerous to put a Trump sign or a Biden Harris sign in your front yard nowadays.
Which is sad.
It is sad. Everybody should be entitled to their opinion, and we should have good discussions about the difference of opinion. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. You were talking about the divisiveness and everything, and I think part of it too is, and this goes for information security, all that is the 24/7 news cycle where you have to, have something filling all this time. So things that maybe weren't amplified are now amplified.
Yeah. Well, there's that. And there's just such a polarization. And I don't know if it's on this or what. I mean, I can't get my head around it, but it's so hard to get non-biased information anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, you really have to start digging. And that was one of the things I'd written a post last week about the difference between facts and opinions. And I like to make decisions based on facts, yet they're not easy to come by, right? Opinions are much easier.
Oh yeah.
You read the news and it's like, and then if you have a difference of opinion, you really do risk getting attacked, not just virtually online, but you risk getting attacked physically.
Yeah. Yeah. You see all the reports of death threats for, the health officials because of the reporting on COVID. I don't understand, right? But that's a significant security threat.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. And so how this applies, at work, what if you have people, because everybody's got opinions, whether you want to believe, whether they share them or whatever, everybody's got an opinion. And so what if people at work, well, now we're all remote-ish, but let's say people start coming back to the office and you're a Trump supporter or you're whatever, Trump or Biden. Let's say you're a Trump supporter in this instance. And so they post things about, supporting Trump online. I read yesterday that somebody that I follow on Twitter, or no, followed, somebody retweeted it somewhere. They got fired because they're a Trump supporter, and they weren't wearing Trump clothing or a MAGA hat or whatever. They were somehow the company had found out through their social media posts and fired them.
Well, I mean, we've seen that not around politics, but and I was going to bring that up, so I'm glad you did, but where people are posting things online that are inappropriate, but they're, on Facebook and it shows where they work. We've had that happen, and we found it and told companies, and they've let people go based on, completely inappropriate posts. So, this is something that isn't new to necessarily, politics, but again, I think it's being amplified more now due to the divisiveness.
Well, and that's an inappropriate post, right? It's not inappropriate to share your opinion in social media. It's not inappropriate to share that you support Biden for this reason, that reason, or whatever. That's not inappropriate.
Yeah,
and you
without knowing
get fired for it.
It's tough to say, but I guess that's the
well,
problem.
Even if let's say you didn't. Let's say you didn't get fired for it. Let's say that you're a Biden supporter, and the executives in your company, because different cultures is a very conservative culture, right? Your CEO is one of the people that was out, on the Trump rally in the boat and all that other stuff. I mean, truly a Trump supporter. And they find out that you're a Biden supporter. I can't imagine that there wouldn't be some sort of backlash, whether it's firing and it goes both ways, right?
Yeah. No,
it totally goes both ways.
Well, and that's, it's tough because, this is the kind of the issue with the at-will employment, right? You can be fired for any reason for just because.
Right.
Right. So it goes back to that divisiveness of, yeah, okay, technically that's completely legal to do. Is it the right thing to do? Probably not.
But if it's social media, what's the purpose of social media? Isn't it to share opinions?
Sure, but if you're reflecting, or if you're, if the owners of the company or whatever say that that's a negative to the company, it's within their rights to to do that. I'm not saying I agree with it at all. I'm just saying
Right.
that it is, there's nothing.
Well, then where does personal life and work life, is there no, there's
Oh,
no, it's like there's no,
this is why it gets so blurred, right? Because
right.
if you're posting and are associated with a company, it will get back and reflect on that company. So it's
Well, and this is where the crap is, in my opinion, because to me, it's like, and I agree, what you're saying is true. Uh, it's just another form of intimidation, another form of bullying, where if you share your thoughts and opinions and I disagree with it, I'm going to retaliate against you.
yeah. And again, I'm not saying I agree with it in any way, like either way,
No, me neither. Me neither.
but it's unfortunately what's going on right now, and it sucks.
Well, it does, because I have friends. I have friends on both sides, right, of our political spectrum. I mean, we're talking politics right now because that is front and center. But you can take any one of the issues that we face today and try to talk about it objectively with people, and it quickly goes. I mean, it can, you know, quickly go sideways. People either change the subject, and I've said this before, that when they can't defend their position, they either change the subject or they attack your character,
Mm-hmm.
which is a really crappy place for us to be in, especially when most of the people who do this are the people that were preaching tolerance, just a year ago or a few years ago.
Yeah.
Usually the people, accusing others of being intolerant are the most intolerant people there are. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Yeah.
Because I've seen a politicizing of I've seen this happen in, because I'm fairly active on Twitter. I'm not super active. I don't have like 20 million followers or anything, but uh, it seems like most of the information security people that I follow on Twitter are more liberal. And I'm sure there's others. Maybe these are just the ones that I found, ones that I happen to find, interesting or whatever. And then they also, at least on Twitter, you know, are pretty damn judgmental. You know,
Yeah. Kind of. I see that where you jump all over somebody for how they said something.
right? Which is really frustrating because what happens if I'm not that way? Let's say that I'm not liberal, right? Let's say I'm conservative. I grew up in a Christian home, have Christian values. I don't hurt anybody. I respect people, but I just hold on to these conservative values. And then maybe I'm newer to this industry. I'm not as well established, and or maybe I'm researching this industry, and I start following some of the influential people on Twitter, and find out that they're all not only. I mean, it's okay to have a different opinion. It's okay to not be like me that way. But what it's not okay is to attack other people because they're like you.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And it really is frustrating because I've seen it happen. I see it happen continually. I mean, I could find some examples, this morning of where this plays out. But there's also been times where I've seen, I don't know if you felt this before, but where I've seen people say something, but they have, I've seen some people say things that are just absolutely not true.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it be, whether it be about information security, whether it be about something else. And I want to say something to set the record straight, but I don't often because I don't want to deal with all the BS that
Yeah,
comes with it.
very much so I get that.
You feel that? Do you feel that too sometimes?
Oh yeah, yeah. And you just see somebody post something about security or IT type things, and you're like, that is completely inaccurate. You know, but it's just not worth, that fight or the blowback that is inevitable when you say something and tell someone, hey, I don't agree with that. Yeah.
Right. Well, this morning, I reluctantly sort of posted this article, and the article is titled "COVID is not as deadly as we originally thought." It ranks at the bottom of the most deadly pandemics in history. That's the title of the article. And so the reason why I posted it is I just asked thoughts, thoughts on this article. And because I'm interested to see what people think about a differing opinion of what you've seen, in the media, that hasn't been the narrative. And I'm not taking sides. I just ask for thought because this is a differing opinion. And I think we need to entertain differing opinions.
Yeah.
It just seems like that's how we solve a lot of our problems, is thinking outside the box.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know where to. I'm with you. It's just so frustrating that people that like. I personally, I like constructive criticism, right? Like, if we're going to do it with this IR maturity. We went through it with the team, and I told them, I was like, hey, don't hesitate to give me suggestions or ask questions or kind of challenge on it. I want to hear it. That's how we're going to get better. But the problem is, so much online is not constructive. It's just criticism. And it's just, it gets frustrating, and you kind of go, well, I'm not going to engage.
Yeah. Well, not only is it, it's frustrating, and I disagree with you, but if we don't entertain other opinions and other ideas, then how do we get creative solutions to difficult problems?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you take another thing, in outside of an external influence, really. Take like Black Lives Matter, for instance. Super touchy subject.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but I mean, anybody who doesn't agree with those three words, not saying that you agree with the movement, that's different because they're different things.
Right.
Everybody agrees that Black Lives Matter. Everybody should agree that Black Lives Matter. So then, what are some constructive solutions to address the issues?
Yeah.
With different people of different walks of life. That's the frustrating part is, it's such a touchy subject that most people aren't even willing to have that discussion
Well,
without attacking.
Yeah, as soon as you say it, people take sides and dig in, and it's unfortunate because you're right. Everyone should agree.
Right. Well, and inside our industry, certainly we all have political views, not all, but many of us have a political bend one way or another. And I don't agree with lots of people. And I don't even agree. I mean, I live with this wife of mine. We know each other like really well, and to this day, we still don't agree enough. So chances are really good I'm not going to agree with you on stuff. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Well, but like you said, I don't want to be surrounded by that echo chamber. I don't want to be surrounded by only the exact same things that I believe. I'm never going to grow as a person if all I hear is reinforcement of one viewpoint.
But do you feel like so many people in society do want that? I just want you to be an echo chamber.
Yep. I think I would agree. Yeah.
I want to take away your ability to think. I want to take away your ability to disagree. And you better agree with me. Otherwise, I'm going to attack the crap out of you. I'm going to burn your house down. I'm going to, whatever, death threats. I don't care.
Yeah. I think, well, it's more, I guess, reinforcement of your own beliefs and attacking anyone who doesn't agree with you. Yeah. And it happens. I mean, pick a subject. It doesn't matter. You see it out
Totally. Yeah, well, I mean that's the world, right? And within our industry, it's I don't see much of a difference. Honestly, I think we have a common thread that sort of holds us together in terms of like we're information security practitioners, so we have that level of respect with each other. Much like you know plumbers, you know they have
there.
respect for other plumbers, but they may have a bunch of different opinions. In our industry, there's so much opportunity, I think, to be more of a shining light, to be more inclusive, and it's funny, the people that say that they're inclusive too often are so exclusive. It's nuts. Uh, but I don't know how to fix it. I don't know how to necessarily call people out without getting attacked myself,
Hmm.
and then having to fight that battle as well as trying to fight the other battles that are going on, with life, with
Well,
work.
yeah. Yeah. And it's tough to do it in a public forum too, because if you disagree, you know, all the people that agree with that person attack you. It's not just that person.
Right. Well, and personally, I like I said, I wrote that stuff, facts and opinions last week, and I prefer, but it's interesting too how many people you can confront with hard facts. It's just factual information, and they
Yeah.
won't believe you.
Oh yeah.
They stick
Yeah.
so hard to their ideology. I don't
Yeah.
know. So, divisiveness within our industry, certainly within the people, and I'm not saying it's all over the place either, right? I don't want to paint this super grim picture and say, yeah, we're all just a bunch of jerks who can't get along, but there are many who don't, and they're not entertaining. And I'm sort of reaching out to those people who feel like they can't say what's really on their mind because they're afraid they're going to get attacked by others in our industry.
Yeah.
That, I don't have an easy solution for you. I can empathize, I can sympathize because I feel the same way. And I've been in this industry for 30 years, and I typically don't wrap behind what people think about me other than the people that I care about.
Right.
But like you said too, right? You've got a company to represent, right? What I say online, is a reflection of, FR Secure, Security Studio. Mail that.
Yeah.
You have to think about those other things too. So I don't know. Uh, the divisiveness certainly hurts there. I think it stifles innovation and ideas sharing. Uh, I think divisiveness also makes teams much less effective, much less cohesive. Um, it makes us appear, I think, to outsiders, when we're working with the business, for instance, it makes us appear to be, as an industry anyway, to not have our crap together.
Yeah. I can see that.
Because you'll hear one thing from me, you'll hear another thing from somebody else. And then how often have you seen companies, competitors within our industry put down other competitors?
Oh yeah. Yeah. That happens all the time.
And that's just so dumb, right? You should be able to stand on your own merit, right? Let me show you why I'm better than the competition, not
Hmm.
let me show you why they're worse than me. It's
Right.
different.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a huge difference. And one of the things we do is to not compare ourselves to others. Is to, hey, here's how we do it. Here's why we do it. Here's why we're good. And you make that decision. But so often it's that checklist of, hey, look, we're doing all these things that these other guys aren't, right? And kind of saying, oh, well, we do these better than these people.
Right. Getting down competition. Oh, I mean, should never do it. Even if your competition is really really terrible, because I can tell you, I've seen some really terrible things in our industry from competition, but you can't you can't you can't address it like that. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
it's a poor reflection on you. And if your competitor really is that bad, they'll be out of business soon enough anyway. You know? I don't
Right.
know.
Yeah.
So I think the way we see it in this divisiveness in information security is uh, attacking others with different opinions that we're not immune to that in our industry, like the rest of the world isn't. I think there's also still that intimidation factor where um, if you ask a question that might not be viewed as being worthy, I've seen that happens a lot less. So credit to our industry. I see a lot more helpful people willing to reach out and coach than ever. So that's really
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Still putting down others.
Yeah. Well, but that's the right way to approach it is coaching and education and helping, right? That's how we're gonna start to fix things and not just arguing with people.
Right. Right. Absolutely. And so I guess the fix, I don't think there is a quick fix for this stuff. You sort of have to work with what you can control, I think. So I will choose to be, more positive influence. I'll choose to be personally more inclusive, meaning I'll listen to other people's opinions, and I will, I'll try at all costs to not tear people down because they don't agree with me. And I think we should all learn from that. It makes your job a hell of a lot easier too. People will
Oh
start
yeah.
listening to you.
Well, it's a lot easier to get respect when you actually respect others and you show that, and you show that you're willing to help, and not belittle somebody for them asking a question.
Right. And you may not care about this. There's some hacker type, or the more technical services type, not at our company, but where you're kind of a lone ranger anyway. So I don't really care. If you don't like what I say, screw you. Eventually, that will come back to haunt you.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, you'll come back and you'll need an opinion from somebody, or you'll need something from somebody, because none of us are isolated to that extent,
Right.
and it'll come haunt you. Or maybe you'll decide that someday you actually do want to start your own business, or someday you do want to be in management. Well, you know, that's going to hurt you.
Right. Yep.
So I don't know. This was what was on my mind. So I just wanted to talk about this. I think where I'd like to go with it is I'm thinking about a series titled "Politics and Information Security." What do you think about that?
That would be. I think it would be a good discussion, but it's going to absolutely kind of expose us to the attacks on either side. But I think if we do it like you said, in a respectful manner, and somebody's got to start the discussion.
Well, and yeah, well, and it's I don't want to back away from topics because they're difficult, and I do want to be respectful. I would say most people don't agree with me in a lot of things, but let's talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's um, so I'm thinking if we got people from both sides of the aisle, and now, be a short series between now and maybe the end of the election or something, um, to have them share their opinions. And I think what we can do is even set an example about how people can share their opinions without being attacked, with feeling comfortable.
Yeah, no, it's an opportunity to really do this in a good, setting that standard, right? In a respectful,
Right.
safe, I guess. I don't know what the right word is, but it's, yeah.
Well, and I don't want to, I don't want to sit here and preach inclusiveness, other people's opinions, and because it really does help you out in your job. In information security, you do need other people. You do need to interact with other people. You do need to interface with other people. There's a lot of times you have difficult challenges that you need to solve, and you're going to need other people to help you solve those problems. And
Cool.
so if you don't, to just sit and think about it, and you and I know each other, right? So you know how I operate, and I know how you operate. Listeners may or may not know, but it's easy for people to say things and not do things. And so I think taking it to that next level where let's actually take 4 weeks and do what we're saying and show it. Because I think it'll come natural to us. I don't like
Well, it,
beating people up usually.
no. Well, but if you think about it, just from an information security perspective, how many times have you had to go to an executive who didn't agree with you and try to convince them of, hey, this is the right thing to do, or give them, unpleasant news in a way that they're not going to attack you. It's a
Right.
really big skill to be able to go and, like you said, you got to work with all the different business units. They're not going to have the same priorities you do it from a security perspective, and working with them and helping them learn and how to communicate with them. So, it's something that is really important to be able to do.
Yeah, I agree completely. And who knows? It might even save your job, So if
Yeah.
you're a Trump supporter who's about ready to get fired, maybe, it would help you to say things online that maybe would show more respect and keep, I don't know the details of a Trump supporter or a Biden supporter. I'm sure it happens on both sides, but, if you set an example of respect, uh, that reflects hopefully well on the company, and um, maybe we'll save your job. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well,
It'll
I think,
definitely be an interesting series.
yeah, and I think the timing is right. Right. I mean,
Yeah. I mean,
there's all kinds of things we can talk about. I think maybe our first guest I'll have is Jim Nash. Jim Nash is pretty conservative. He's in information security. Be interesting to hear his take on things.
yeah.
I'll have to remind him that he is on a podcast. This is being recorded, and we are sharing it. Just so you know, because some of the things, yeah, you may want to say, you probably don't. Maybe you don't want to. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think he's up for re-election, and he's very well known and loved in by his constituency. So I'm sure he'll get re-elected, and he does represent the constituency well. So, but he's got his opinions. So, maybe a good talk with him.
Yeah.
All right, let's get on to some news, some newsy stuff. Stay tuned for the politics in information security. That might be cool. And I really want to reach out to people that I know are really far away from my beliefs. You know what I mean? Like I'm pretty conservative. I mean, truly, I am. So get somebody who's like so far on the other side of the spectrum and just have a discussion. Remind them of the rules that we need to play by these rules, and we also ask you as our guest to play by these rules, meaning respect at all times, no attacking somebody's character on. And if they do, drop them off the podcast midstream. That might be interesting too.
Yeah. See what
I
happens.
mean, it's not only is it okay, not only is it important for you to show respect, but it's also okay to demand respect. So walk
Mm-hmm.
away if you're not getting the respect that you deserve, and we all deserve it. So, all right, I'm preaching to the choir. 4 news articles. We can talk about these fairly quickly. The first one I've got is from the State of Security. So this is actually, sponsored by Tripwire. But the blog is.
Sure.
The title is Cryptocurrency Exchange Etherbase, or Etherbase, depending on how you want to say it, was hacked. $5.4 million worth of funds are stolen.
Ouch.
Well, $5.4 million. Yeah, it's bad, but not super bad. Could be worse.
Yeah, well, but how many people lost money on that? Not a business.
True. Yeah, so if people don't know who Etherbase is, they're a European exchange, so cybercurrency exchange, and this happened. When was it? Last week, I believe. It was fairly recent. They posted a message on Telegram. 6 hot wallets were plundered for their cryptocurrency, making up a total of about $5.4 million stolen. They put, in response, Etherbase put their exchange into maintenance mode and reported the attack to law enforcement. Now, they're Slovakian, I think, Etherbase.
Yeah.
So I wonder what law enforcement capabilities are in there.
Yeah, that would be interesting. It's just that kind of unregulated currency exchange. So
yeah, they tracked the movement of the stolen funds, and they were turned into exchanges, including Binance, HitBTC, and Huobi.
Yeah.
So it is possible to get this money back too, because those exchanges could freeze the funds and make it impossible for the bad guys to get their money out. Yeah. I don't know. Am I having audio problems? Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you now. It kind of keeps freezing a little bit, but
Well, it's technology in the year 2020.
It's hard.
Maybe I'm getting DDoSed. Maybe I said something that offended somebody. These were hot wallets, by the way. The difference between a hot wallet and a cold wallet is hot wallets are connected to the internet, so they're connected to the exchange, and they have this kind of ongoing communication. Cold wallets don't have that.
Yeah.
The second article I have is from GB Hackers on security. World's largest data center provider hit by NetWalker ransomware.
Yeah, not good.
Equinix. No. They detected the attack at 12:45 a.m. Eastern Time on Thursday last week.
They're huge.
They are huge, man. 205 data centers in 5 countries on 5 continents.
Yeah, and reading that article, they kind of buried it at the very bottom, but they've got 74 RDP servers for Equinox that are on the internet, and that their login credentials are being sold by the hackers.
It's just so so here's the thing. I doubt it wouldn't be surprised if Equinix didn't even know that these 74 remote RDP servers were there. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
Mm-hmm.
And and you can't possibly protect the things you don't know you have. So then how could you not know?
Right.
Let's assume you did know. Well, then why would you leave them exposed? Secured with only a username and password.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That's going to be that's not good.
It's crazy. And according to the article, Equinix has given $750 million as a ransom to the threat actors.
Which, well, I was a little bit confused by that because
I am too.
they're saying that the current ransom is $4.5 million.
Yeah, 455 Bitcoin.
Yeah, it says as ransom to the threats, they can obtain 13 Canadian data centers from Bell Canada. I don't understand what that's saying.
Yeah, I don't either. I think we need to do a little more research on that. But I'd be curious because I don't do any business with Equinix, and I don't know of any of our customers necessarily who do. At least
Yeah,
nobody's reached out to me. So I don't know the true impact. I don't know if the impact is ongoing. I think I would need to do a little more research, but it's interesting that nobody really is immune. And the fact that, again, you have 214 or 74, sorry, RDP servers just dangling out in the wind.
mm-hmm.
Bad things are going to happen when you do that.
Yep.
So the next thing from e-hacking news, Microsoft confirms cyber attacks on Biden and Trump campaigns. Okay.
Yeah,
Good.
I mean, and these
Attack
are
them both.
big, well-known hacking, groups. Fancy Bear and Charming Kitten. It's which
Yeah.
are kind of is amusing, the name of them, but these are well-known, most likely state-sponsored
Yeah.
groups.
Chinese, Iranian, and Russian, at
Yeah.
least. And if you think about it, the Chinese don't like. I think the Chinese definitely don't like Trump. I think the Iranians definitely don't like Trump, and the Russians, I don't think they like anybody. So, if I were to guess, I'd guess most of the Chinese attacks were probably aimed at Trump, and most of the Iranian attacks were probably also aimed at Trump. So the Russians' attacks were just aimed at whoever was in their way.
Yeah, that would be interesting to see what the breakdown is. But what was interesting, where was it? They detected thousands of attacks by the group between March and September, and hackers it's accessing almost 150 accounts.
No, not surprising at all.
That's not, yeah. So
I'm
I
surprised it's
definitely,
only
I'd be
150
interested to see more.
accounts.
What's that?
I'm surprised it's only 150 accounts.
True. Yeah,
Crazy.
I'd like to see more data behind that. Like that would be interesting to dig into and see, and be able to see.
Yeah, it would be. Well, you just know, like politically, though, where alignments are for the state-sponsored attacks, right? It would be surprising to me to find a majority of the state-sponsored Chinese attacks, for instance, being targeted at Biden, because it just doesn't fit the narrative. At least the narrative I've been following is they would go after Trump.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Well, the last one I've got, quick news, is just because I think it's interesting. Every time you see another Elasticsearch server that's been just another floating in the kind of thing. This is from HR Hack. This is from HackRead. Database mess up, leaks 882 gigabytes of e-commerce and dating sites data. 70 websites failing to, 70 websites. This affects 70 websites.
Yeah, 370 million records.
Yeah, and that doesn't even faze people anymore. I mean, do you remember? It wasn't that long ago when 370 million records would make, headline news.
Yeah, I mean, and this one is like actual conversations with, PII in it. Full name,
Oh yeah.
conversations. Oof.
Yep. I think it's interesting. Again, I picked that one because one, it is very big, and you probably won't hear about it much anywhere else. And again, it was another Elastic server. All right, that's about it. Episode 97 is almost a wrap. Brad, any shout outs this week?
You know what? I'll give a shout out to Kyle for the passing those 2 exams. Oscar got his GCFE, and Eric with his SANS. Just those guys are killing it, and it's just awesome to see.
Yeah, I'll echo that. Those will be my shout outs too. Just the whole the whole FR Secure Tech Services, just really kicking ass.
Yeah.
Very, very proud of those guys.
It's funny you talk about that, but they get the certifications and kind of the glory for some of that, but there's not that stuff on the consulting side. You don't have the same kind of things.
Oh, right.
Available. It's kind of interesting. I just thought of that because they're out there just killing it as well, the whole team.
That is true. Absolutely. We should, we should do a shout out to our consulting services because they're kind of the unsung heroes, right? They're the ones not doing a lot of
It's not the sexy
work.
stuff.
It's kind of right. That's
the governance and the policies and the plans and the coaching and all that kind of goes behind the scenes. It's easy to
very true.
Let that slide, but shout out to the guys that did get their certifications. I know they Pinky got his GCFE. Oscar, those are legit very difficult exams. So shout out to them for all the work they put in to get those.
Awesome. All right. Nice to have you back, Brad. It's easier to do a podcast with you.
I prefer to be here than dealing with a migraine.
For sure. All right. We're grateful to our listeners, and we do love hearing from you. Send us messages by email at unsecurity@protonmail.com or check us out on Twitter. It's @unsecurityp. If you want to socialize with me or Brad directly, we dare you. Nah, not really. I'm @Evan Francine, and Brad's @Brad Nye. And the people we work for, if you want to know about kind of the cool things that are happening there, Security Studios @Studio Security, and FR Secure is @FR Secure. All right. Talk to you next week.